overlook, a path that requires discipline, solitude, and an unshakable sense of self. He's not against the world, but he doesn't belong to it either. He's the man who observes before speaking, who listens before deciding, and who acts with precision rather than impulse. But beneath that calm exterior lies a simple truth. Sigma males have boundaries that are non-negotiable. They may be tolerant, patient, and understanding, but there are certain things they will never allow, no matter who it comes from. Not because they are arrogant, but because they know the cost of compromising their peace. See, when you walk through life with self-respect, you stop explaining your worth. You stop entertaining nonsense. You stop tolerating behavior that pulls you out of alignment with your purpose. And that's where the Sigma mindset becomes powerful. It teaches you that silence can be stronger than confrontation, and walking away can be louder than shouting. Today we'll explore 6 things Sigma males never tolerate. Not out of pride, but out of wisdom. Because every strong man learns that peace, once lost, is hard to regain. And those who guard it fiercely live with quiet freedom. So if you've ever felt misunderstood for choosing solitude over attention or peace over chaos, this one's for you. Let's begin. Number 1, disrespect. A Sigma male's tolerance ends the moment respect disappears. To him, respect isn't a privilege, it's the foundation of every relationship, whether personal or professional. He operates by a silent code of mutual dignity, where both parties value honesty, integrity, and space. When that foundation cracks, he doesn't explode or seek revenge. Instead, he withdraws, quietly and completely. This response may seem cold to outsiders, but it's actually rooted in emotional intelligence. Studies in behavioral psychology suggest that people with strong self-awareness and high emotional regulation, traits Sigma males often display, are less likely to engage in unnecessary conflict. They conserve their energy for growth rather than wasting it on ego battles. The Sigma male understands that arguing with disrespectful people rarely leads to understanding. It only feeds chaos. So, when someone talks down to him, manipulates him, or tries to control him, he recognizes it as a projection of insecurity, not strength. His detachment becomes his armor. This self-respect-driven boundary often intimidates others because it reflects power without aggression, the kind of confidence that doesn't need to shout. In social dynamics, such quiet strength can shift the balance of interaction. According to research on dominance hierarchies, individuals who remain calm under pressure are often perceived as more competent and authoritative. That's why Sigma males rarely need to prove their worth. Their composure speaks louder than any confrontation. When he walks away, it's not out of weakness. It's a statement that his peace is non-negotiable. Over time, people who lose a Sigma's respect often come to realize that silence can be the loudest consequence of all. His quiet exit leaves a void that forces reflection. Because in his world, respect is the currency of connection. And once it's spent carelessly, there's no refund. A man who respects himself never begs others to do the same. He knows that real respect cannot be demanded. It must be earned, nurtured, and reciprocated. The Sigma male's strength lies in this understanding, that dignity is not something you fight for with words, but something you uphold with actions. In a society obsessed with validation and attention, his calm refusal to engage in disrespect makes him stand apart, a reminder that silence, when backed by self-respect, is the most powerful form of response. Number 2, dishonesty. Sigma males live by clarity because, to them, Truth is the foundation of peace. Lies, hidden motives, and manipulation don't just irritate them. They cloud their mental landscape, turning a sharp, focused mind into a foggy battlefield. The Sigma thrives in mental stillness, in environments where honesty and transparency allow him to think, act, and grow without distortion. This trait isn't about being cold or emotionless. It's about self-preservation. Studies in psychology suggest that deception increases cognitive dissonance, the inner conflict caused when one's beliefs don't align with reality. Sigma males instinctively avoid this dissonance, knowing that dishonesty, whether from others or themselves, disrupts their inner balance and decision-making clarity. They value authenticity even when it's uncomfortable, because truth in its raw form helps them understand people's real intentions. For them, a painful truth is better than a comforting lie, because only the truth can guide their next step with certainty. In relationships, whether personal or professional, honesty acts as a form of loyalty in a Sigma's world. When someone chooses to be truthful, even when it risks tension or conflict, the Sigma sees that as a sign of respect. He believes loyalty isn't proven by words of affection or constant agreement, but by the courage to be real. This view ties into evolutionary psychology, where trust is seen as a survival mechanism. Human brains evolved to detect deception because cooperation required reliability. Sigma males take this to heart. They guard their circles fiercely, ensuring every connection is built on integrity. Once someone breaks that trust, it's almost impossible to regain. That isn't bitterness, it's discipline. It's a recognition that betrayal once tasted can never be forgotten, and that energy spent on second chances often robs focus from purpose. Ultimately, the Sigma male's relationship with truth defines his strength. His silence isn't mysterious arrogance, it's mental hygiene. By filtering out deceit and fake personas, he creates a life of clarity, independence, and self-mastery. In a world where many wear masks, the Sigma's greatest weapon is transparency. He doesn't play games because his mind is his kingdom, and he won't allow lies to invade it. To live in truth is, for him, the purest form of freedom. Number 3, emotional manipulation. He recognizes guilt trips, silent treatment, and emotional blackmail for what they truly are, tools of control. The Sigma male, grounded in self-awareness and emotional intelligence, refuses to be manipulated by these tactics. When someone tries to provoke him through guilt, hoping he'll bend or apologize just to keep the peace, he doesn't take the bait. He understands that guilt is often used as emotional currency by those who can't control him through logic or respect. Instead of reacting impulsively, he observes with calm detachment, seeing the situation for what it is, rather than how it's meant to make him feel. This is not coldness, it's emotional discipline, an ability to stay centered amid manipulation. In psychology, this aligns with the concept of emotional regulation, the conscious control over one's emotional state. People who master this skill tend to maintain clearer thinking and healthier boundaries, while those who don't often fall prey to others' emotional games. The Sigma male's silence in such moments isn't weakness, it's strategy. He understands that engaging with manipulation gives it power. When someone uses the silent treatment to punish him, he doesn't chase. He lets the silence work in his favor. He knows that the one who reacts first often loses control of the situation. By remaining calm and grounded, he shifts the balance of power back to himself. This mindset mirrors Stoic philosophy, especially teachings from thinkers like Marcus Aurelius. who emphasize that no one can truly harm you without your consent, not physically, but emotionally. The Sigma male applies this wisdom in everyday interactions, refusing to let others dictate how he should feel. His real power lies in not reacting, because reaction is a form of surrender. Modern neuroscience supports this idea. When you react emotionally, your amygdala, the brain's emotional center, takes control, clouding rational thought. By staying composed, the Sigma male keeps his prefrontal cortex engaged, allowing logic and reason to lead instead of impulse. This self-mastery makes him appear unshakable, mysterious, and even intimidating to those who rely on manipulation as their weapon. He knows that whoever controls your emotions controls you, and he will never hand that power away. To the world, it might seem like indifference, but in truth, it's wisdom in motion. A deep understanding that peace is not found in control, but in the ability to remain untouched by chaos. Number 4, gossip and negativity. A Sigma male protects his mental space like it's sacred ground because to him it truly is. His mind is his most powerful asset, where his ideas are born, his strategies are crafted, and his peace is maintained. He knows that the quality of his thoughts determines the quality of his life, so he guards them carefully. This is why he avoids gossip, drama, and constant negativity. They're like parasites that feed off emotional energy and cloud mental clarity. Psychologists have long emphasized the impact of emotional contagion, the phenomenon where people absorb the moods and attitudes of those around them. A Sigma male understands this instinctively. He knows that spending too much time around negative, toxic, or shallow conversations can rewire the brain toward cynicism and stress. So, he creates boundaries, not to isolate himself, but to preserve his focus and emotional balance. Instead of wasting his attention on rumors or trivial conflicts, the Sigma male invests it in conversations that nurture his intellect and spirit. He gravitates toward discussions about ideas, self-improvement, philosophy, and purpose. Research in social psychology shows that people who engage in deep, meaningful conversations tend to experience higher levels of life satisfaction and emotional well-being. This aligns perfectly with the Sigma's nature. He's not interested in small talk or surface-level chatter. He seeks substance. When someone speaks with authenticity, he listens intently. But when conversations turn to envy, comparison, or idle speculation, he knows it's time to step away. He does this quietly, without confrontation, because he doesn't need to prove his boundaries. He simply lives by them. What makes him different is that his solitude isn't loneliness. It's self-preservation. He uses quiet moments to recharge, reflect, and refine his mindset. This detachment from unnecessary noise allows him to maintain emotional stability in a chaotic world. Neuroscientists have found that prolonged exposure to negativity activates the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear and stress. The Sigma male avoids this mental trap by being selective about what he allows into his consciousness. His environment, both physical and emotional, is designed to promote growth, not distraction. He understands that peace isn't found. It's built, one boundary at a time. And so when someone's energy doesn't elevate his, he doesn't argue or explain. He simply moves elsewhere, leaving behind chaos and walking toward clarity. That is the quiet discipline of a Sigma male, protecting his mind so his purpose remains unshaken. Number 5, lack of accountability. Sigma males have a deep appreciation for accountability, a trait that defines their relationships, leadership, and personal philosophy. They respect people who own their actions, not because they expect perfection, but because honesty builds trust. In a world filled with excuses and deflections, a person who simply says, "Yes, that was my fault," earns a Sigma's respect faster than someone who hides behind justifications. Psychologically, this mindset aligns with the principle of locus of control, a concept in behavioral science that describes whether individuals believe they have control over their lives or blame external forces. Sigma males operate with an internal locus of control. They take responsibility for their outcomes, whether good or bad. That's why they naturally distance themselves from those who habitually make excuses. Such people drain energy and weaken accountability within any relationship or team. To a Sigma, forgiveness and responsibility are not opposites, they coexist. He can forgive mistakes easily because he understands that failure is part of growth. But excuses, that's a different story. Excuses represent a refusal to learn. They mask insecurity and prevent progress. When someone blames the system, their parents, or bad luck, instead of reflecting inward, the Sigma sees it as emotional immaturity. Neuroscience backs this up. When we justify our errors rather than owning them, the brain's anterior cingulate cortex, the region responsible for learning from mistakes, becomes less active. In simple terms, people who never admit fault stop growing. Sigma males recognize this pattern instinctively, which is why they prefer to walk alone rather than surround themselves with those who refuse to evolve. Maturity to the Sigma male isn't measured by age or accomplishments, it's measured by self-awareness. Taking responsibility means facing uncomfortable truths and doing what must be done without needing applause. It's about saying, "This is my life, and I am responsible for what it becomes." This mindset creates strength, discipline, and independence, the very core of the Sigma identity. When someone refuses to own their actions, the Sigma quietly steps back. He doesn't argue or preach. He simply understands they're not yet ready to walk beside him. In a world full of people seeking validation, the Sigma male moves differently. He values truth over comfort, accountability over excuses, and growth over blame. That's what separates him from the crowd, and why his respect is something you can't demand, it's something you earn. Number 6, control or possession. Above all, Sigma males value freedom. It is not just a preference, it is their oxygen, their natural state of being. Unlike others who may find comfort in structure or validation from society, the Sigma male thrives in autonomy. He's a man who lives by his own code, guided not by the approval of others, but by the integrity of his principles. This doesn't mean he is cold or incapable of love, quite the opposite. When a Sigma male loves, he does so with depth, intention, and loyalty. However, his love is never rooted in possession. It's built on respect and trust. He believes that the healthiest relationships are those where both individuals remain free to be themselves, where connection enhances individuality rather than erasing it. From a psychological perspective, this mindset reflects a strong sense of self-determination theory, the belief that humans thrive when they can make choices aligned with their values and autonomy. Sigma males embody this principle effortlessly. Their freedom fuels their creativity, emotional balance, and sense of purpose. They see control not as love, but as manipulation, and any attempt to restrict their individuality triggers an instinctive retreat. To them, A relationship or environment that demands conformity is a cage, and no matter how comfortable it looks, they will never stay in it for long. Historically, many figures who embodied Sigma energy, like Nikola Tesla, Bruce Lee, or even Albert Einstein, shared this uncompromising devotion to independence. They walked paths that others could not understand, often isolating themselves from conventional expectations. Yet that solitude was their power. It allowed them to think, create, and live without the noise of societal pressure. In modern life, this same trait makes Sigma males both intriguing and intimidating. They aren't easily influenced by trends, authority, or peer pressure. They move quietly, but purposefully, choosing freedom over popularity, authenticity over acceptance. They know that real happiness doesn't come from control or dominance. It comes from the peace of being true to oneself. And so, when someone tries to dictate their pace, their thoughts, or their choices, they simply walk away, not out of arrogance, but out of necessity. Because for the Sigma male, freedom isn't just a lifestyle. It's sacred ground. It's the one thing he will protect at all costs, even if it means standing alone. In the end, Sigma males don't demand perfection from others. They just require peace. And peace comes from discernment, the ability to know what to tolerate and what to release. This mindset is not arrogance, it's emotional intelligence rooted in self-awareness. Psychologically, it reflects a high level of self-regulation, a trait linked to stronger decision-making and lower stress levels. Sigma males understand that constantly engaging with negativity drains mental energy, disrupts focus, and weakens inner stability. So when they walk away, it's not rejection, it's redirection. They're choosing clarity over chaos, solitude over shallow company, and meaning over noise. Walking away doesn't make them cold. It makes them conscious. Because a man who guards his peace guards his power. And that power lies in mastering one's emotions, protecting one's boundaries, and living intentionally in a world addicted to noise. He watches from the edges, not because he's distant, but because the world is overwhelmingly loud. His silence isn't a sign of weakness, it's a deliberate choice. What many mistake for coldness is actually a shield, forged by a man who understands that true kindness is a quiet force, not a shout for attention. This is the essence of the Sigma male, a figure who walks alone, often unseen, yet carries a depth of kindness that never demands recognition. There is a common misconception about the Sigma male, a label born from misunderstanding, cold, distant, unfeeling. Society often misreads his measured silence as apathy, but silence isn't absence, it is precision. It is a sanctuary where thoughts and emotions are carefully guarded and refined, a place few dare to enter. In a world that constantly screams for validation, where noise and endless performance dominate, the Sigma chooses a quieter path. This choice is not rooted in fear or avoidance, but in a clear understanding that loudness drains energy and obscures clarity. His kindness isn't a public performance or an attempt to win favor. It's a controlled, deliberate energy flowing beneath the surface, a paradoxical blend of warmth wrapped in strength. He doesn't seek the spotlight or applause. His kindness manifests in subtle, almost invisible ways, stepping aside so others can shine, offering help without expecting anything in return, and listening deeply, not to reply, but to understand. This quiet compassion stems from a deep knowing, the value of solitude, the power of self-mastery, and the peace of being comfortable within one's own mind. The Sigma's so-called coldness is actually a form of discipline, protecting what matters most, his inner world, his integrity, and his freedom. This is not a story of detachment or weakness, but of profound depth, resilience, and unseen compassion. If you look closely, you'll realize that the cold Sigma male might just be the kindest man alive. Number one, the noise of the world demands masks. He chooses silence. In a world increasingly obsessed with superficial social expectations and constant noise, The Sigma male stands apart as a figure of quiet strength and authenticity. Unlike the typical social archetypes who often rely on performative behaviors, those rehearsed smiles, forced conversations, or attention-seeking antics, the Sigma deliberately chooses silence and introspection over empty words. This silence is not a sign of weakness or aloofness, rather it is a powerful form of resistance against a culture that prizes quantity of interaction over quality. Psychologically, this behavior aligns with introversion and emotional intelligence, where the Sigma values depth over breadth in relationships and communication. His kindness doesn't manifest as grand gestures or loud declarations, but as subtle, genuine actions that require no validation. This kind of kindness is rare in a society that often confuses volume with virtue. Studies in social psychology reveal that people who practice thoughtful silence tend to be better listeners, more empathetic, and ultimately more influential because their words carry weight and intention. The Sigma's silence can also be seen as a form of self-protection. By not engaging in performative chatter, he conserves his energy and emotional resources for moments that truly matter. This approach echoes the philosophy of Stoicism, which teaches the value of controlling what is within one's power, like one's speech and reactions, while disregarding external distractions. Historically, many great leaders and thinkers, from Marcus Aurelius to Emily Dickinson, have embraced this quietude as a source of inner strength and clarity. In today's fast-paced digital age, where social media often rewards the loudest voices and the flashiest posts, the Sigma's reserved nature serves as a reminder that true influence and kindness do not need to shout. Instead, they resonate deeply and persistently, much like a calm river carving its path through the toughest terrain. By choosing silence over noise and authenticity over pretense, the Sigma male embodies a form of kindness that is both revolutionary and profoundly human. A quiet resistance that challenges us all to reconsider the value of genuine connection in a world full of distractions. Number 2, misunderstood coldness is a shield, not a wall. What many people mistake for coldness in a Sigma male is actually a carefully constructed shield designed to protect his inner world from emotional exploitation. Unlike those who wear their hearts on their sleeves, the Sigma understands that not every interaction deserves his full emotional investment. This reserved demeanor is less about being aloof or uncaring and more about preserving his energy for relationships that truly matter. Psychologically, this behavior aligns with the concept of emotional self-regulation, a skill that helps individuals manage their feelings in a way that promotes long-term well-being. By maintaining emotional boundaries, Sigmas avoid being drained by superficial or toxic connections, which can be a significant source of stress and distraction. This doesn't mean they lack empathy. On the contrary, their silence often masks a deep sensitivity. They simply choose when and with whom to share their vulnerability. This strategy has roots in evolutionary psychology, where conserving emotional and mental resources for vital social bonds increase chances of survival and success. In today's world, where social interactions can be overwhelming and sometimes manipulative, such emotional discretion is a powerful tool. The Sigma male's selective openness allows him to build authentic, meaningful relationships based on mutual respect and trust rather than obligation or social pressure. Interestingly, neuroscience supports this protective approach. Studies show that people who practice emotional regulation tend to have stronger prefrontal cortex activity, which governs decision-making and impulse control. This means Sigmas are often better equipped to think before reacting, maintaining calmness in stressful situations. Their so-called coldness can also be misunderstood because society often equates emotional expressiveness with warmth and friendliness. Overlooking that quiet strength is just as valuable. In fact, many Sigmas use their introspective nature to develop deep insights and creative solutions, qualities that don't always demand loud expression. Ultimately, the Sigma male's coldness is a form of self-care and empowerment, enabling him to navigate the social world with intentionality, preserving his energy and emotional well-being for the connections that truly enrich his life. This thoughtful approach not only safeguards his spirit, but also ensures that when he does engage, it is with genuine presence and authenticity. Number 3, self-reliance is the root of true kindness. The Sigma male's kindness is a unique and powerful trait rooted deeply in his independence and self-sufficiency. Unlike many who may give kindness as a means to gain approval or social acceptance, the Sigma stands apart precisely because he doesn't seek validation from others. This freedom from external approval allows his generosity to be genuine, authentic, and entirely without strings attached. When most people offer kindness, it can sometimes come with an unspoken expectation, whether it's reciprocation, recognition, or a boost to their social standing. The Sigma, however, operates on a different frequency. His kindness is a natural extension of his inner confidence and clarity about his own worth, making it pure and untainted by ego or ulterior motives. This is why his acts of generosity often catch others by surprise. They are unexpected and sincere, arising from a place of true empathy rather than social obligation. Psychologically speaking, the Sigma male's capacity for kindness is closely tied to his comfort with solitude and self-reliance. Research shows that individuals who are comfortable being alone and have a strong sense of internal validation tend to exhibit higher emotional intelligence. This emotional intelligence allows the Sigma to read situations deeply and respond with empathy and generosity because he's not distracted by the need to prove himself or compete for attention. Instead, he gives because he wants to make a positive difference, no matter how small, and without expecting anything in return. From a social dynamics perspective, this kind of kindness is rare and valuable. In a world often driven by social hierarchies and status games, the Sigma's generosity is like a breath of fresh air. He is free from the pressures of conforming to typical alpha or beta roles, and this freedom empowers him to connect with others on a more genuine level. His kindness is not performative. It is quietly powerful, and it often inspires those around him without the Sigma even trying. In fact, his detached but caring demeanor can make his kindness even more impactful, as it is never forced or exaggerated but given calmly and confidently. Ultimately, the Sigma male's kindness is a reflection of his inner world, strong, secure, and self-contained. It's kindness that flows naturally from a man who has mastered himself, proving that sometimes true generosity comes not from a desire to be seen, but from the simple knowing that giving freely enriches both the giver and the receiver. Number 4, logic over emotion. Kindness as strategy, not impulse. His kindness is deliberate, measured, and tactical. Unlike spontaneous acts driven by emotion or social expectation, this kind of kindness is a conscious choice rooted in intention and awareness. It is not about giving for the sake of obligation or to soothe one's own guilt. Instead, it serves a higher purpose, often aligned with fostering genuine growth, whether in himself or in others. This mindset reflects a deep understanding of human interaction and emotional intelligence. Psychologists have found that when kindness is intentional rather than impulsive, it carries more weight and impact as it is focused and meaningful. For example, someone who offers encouragement only when it can inspire real change or support progress exemplifies this form of kindness. It's a kindness that doesn't drain energy indiscriminately, but preserves strength for moments where it truly matters. This approach also shields the individual from emotional burnout and manipulation, common pitfalls of overly reactive kindness. Historically, many great leaders and thinkers have exhibited this style of kindness, using it as a strategic tool to build trust, influence, and resilience. The ancient Stoics, for instance, believed in acting virtuously with purpose, advocating for measured kindness that aligns with wisdom rather than fleeting feelings. This deliberate kindness can sometimes be mistaken for coldness or detachment by those who expect warmth to be constant and unconditional. Yet, it is a form of kindness that respects boundaries and values authenticity. When kindness is given thoughtfully, it encourages responsibility and self-improvement, empowering others rather than fostering dependency. It is a subtle but powerful force that shapes relationships, not through dramatic gestures, but through consistent, meaningful actions. In our fast-paced world, where social media often promotes performative kindness, the deliberate, measured kind stands out as rare and valuable. It reminds us that true kindness is not about impressing others or winning approval, but about fostering real, lasting growth, both in ourselves and those around us. This tactical kindness is a cornerstone of emotional maturity, balancing compassion with discernment and ultimately creating deeper, more authentic connections. Number 5, selective trust and boundaries, protect his kindness. The Sigma male's approach to kindness is a fascinating blend of strength, wisdom, and selectivity. Unlike the stereotypical idea of kindness as a constant, open-handed generosity toward everyone, the Sigma offers his kindness only to those who truly respect his boundaries and demonstrate genuine intent. This is not because he is cold or uncaring, but rather because he has learned through experience that kindness, when given indiscriminately, can easily be exploited or taken for granted. In fact, kindness misused becomes wasted energy, something the Sigma is keenly aware of. He guards himself fiercely, understanding that his emotional and mental resources are valuable and not to be squandered on superficial or disingenuous interactions. Historically and psychologically, this mindset aligns with what social scientists describe as emotional intelligence and healthy boundary setting. People with high emotional intelligence recognize the importance of protecting their mental and emotional well-being by discerning when to open up and when to stay guarded. The Sigma male exemplifies this principle by maintaining a strong sense of self, preferring solitude or limited social circles where mutual respect prevails. His kindness is deep and meaningful, reserved for those who match his authenticity and intentions. This selective kindness serves not only as a protective mechanism, but also as a way to cultivate genuine relationships built on trust and understanding. From a behavioral perspective, the Sigma's guarded kindness also challenges traditional social dynamics, which often emphasize extroversion and constant social engagement as markers of success. The Sigma, however, values quality over quantity in his relationships. His kindness isn't performative or obligatory. It's a conscious choice, reflecting his values and principles. This makes his kindness all the more powerful and appreciated by those who receive it, because it comes from a place of true sincerity and strength. In a world that often encourages constant openness and emotional availability, the Sigma male's approach reminds us of the importance of balance, being kind without losing oneself, offering compassion without sacrificing boundaries. It teaches us that kindness is most impactful when it is purposeful and respected, rather than given out indiscriminately. Ultimately, the Sigma's selective kindness is a profound lesson in self-respect and emotional wisdom that everyone can learn from. Number 6. Silent strength in social interactions, respect over popularity. He commands respect not by shouting the loudest or demanding attention, but through a calm confidence that quietly fills the room. This kind of confidence is steady and grounded, built on unwavering principles rather than fleeting emotions. It's the kind of presence that doesn't need to prove itself constantly because it's simply unlike those who might try to dominate through noise or aggression. He understands that true power lies in restraint. This means he listens more than he speaks, chooses his words carefully, and acts thoughtfully rather than impulsively. In conflict, rather than escalating tension with anger or harshness, he shows kindness, not through empty niceties, but through genuine respect and fairness. This approach often surprises others because it defies the common stereotype that strength must be loud or forceful. Instead, it reveals a deeper strength that values integrity above all. Psychologists have long noted that people who lead with calm confidence tend to inspire greater loyalty and trust because they provide a stable foundation others can rely on. This stability comes from a clear sense of self and purpose. When principles are unwavering, decisions become easier and actions more consistent, which naturally commands respect. His kindness, especially in difficult moments, acts as a bridge rather than a barrier. Instead of shutting people down, he opens dialogue, showing that respect doesn't mean weakness, but a courageous commitment to fairness. This way of leading is often seen in great historical figures. Think of leaders like Nelson Mandela or Mahatma Gandhi, who changed the world not by brute force, but by holding firm to their values and treating others with dignity, even those who opposed them. In everyday life, embodying this calm confidence can transform personal and professional relationships. It encourages others to rise to a higher standard and creates an environment where collaboration and understanding thrive. Ultimately, commanding respect through calm confidence and kindness is a powerful reminder that leadership is less about being the loudest voice in the room and more about being the steady hand that guides with integrity. Number 7, mastery of self means kindness without expectation. True mastery, especially in the realm of personal character and emotional intelligence, shines brightest in how a Sigma male offers kindness without any expectation of return. Unlike transactional relationships, where kindness often serves as a form of currency exchanged for favors, validation, or social gain, the Sigma's generosity flows from a place of genuine inner freedom. He's not bound by societal pressures or the need for approval, which frees him to give purely because it aligns with his values and strength. Psychologically, this reflects advanced emotional maturity. The Sigma understands that true kindness nourishes both the giver's spirit and the receiver's heart. Positive psychology research supports this idea, revealing that unconditional acts of kindness boost mental health, enhance happiness, and deepen human connections, even when no immediate reciprocation occurs. What sets the Sigma apart is his detachment from ego-driven motives and attachment to outcomes. Many people offer kindness hoping to gain status or future favors. But the Sigma's generosity is unconditional, given from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. This autonomy from external validation contributes to his enigmatic aura, as his actions are guided by an internal compass grounded in authenticity and integrity. Spiritual traditions across the world echo this principle. Buddhism teaches compassion without attachment, and Christianity extols loving without expectation, both paths to true freedom and enlightenment. Practically, this mastery manifests in subtle, quiet kindness that carries profound impact. The Sigma does not seek applause or recognition. His actions speak volumes on their own. This rare, genuine kindness reminds us that the highest mastery is self-mastery, the ability to give freely from a place of true inner freedom. Number 8, legacy of impact. Kindness as an invisible force. The Sigma male's kindness is unlike the loud, flashy gestures often associated with generosity. Instead, his greatest kindness lies in the subtle yet powerful impact he has on those around him through example, influence, and quiet support. Rather than seeking attention or validation, the Sigma leads by living authentically and staying true to his principles. This silent strength inspires others to grow, think independently, and pursue their own paths without pressure or judgment. Psychologically, Sigma males tend to value depth over surface-level interactions, preferring meaningful connections that nurture growth. Their kindness manifests as patience, understanding, and unwavering loyalty, even when they're not visibly involved or praised. This quiet support can feel like a steady anchor during turbulent times, offering comfort without words or fanfare. Studies in social psychology suggest that influential role models like Sigmas can inspire lasting change simply by embodying integrity and resilience, traits that others naturally emulate. This effect is often more enduring than temporary acts of kindness because it shapes character and mindset over time. In a world saturated with noise and distraction, the Sigma's ability to lead through example offers a refreshing contrast. A reminder that true kindness is not always about grand gestures, but about consistent authenticity and support. Ultimately, the Sigma's kindness is a powerful force, silently transforming lives and communities one subtle act at a time. He is called cold because he does not conform to the world's demands for noise and constant connection. Yet beneath that still surface, there is a kindness that never shouts for recognition, a kindness born from discipline, from knowing when to speak and when to remain silent, a kindness that values depth over volume, truth over approval. The Sigma male's coldness is his greatest kindness, a quiet fortress built to protect what matters most, his integrity, his freedom, and his capacity to give without losing himself. He offers kindness not as a transaction but as a gift, given only when it honors both himself and the other. In a world drowning in noise, the Sigma's silence speaks volumes. His actions carve paths where others only talk. His distance is not absence but intention. And his kindness, though unseen by many, is the kind that changes lives without asking for applause. To understand the Sigma male is to see kindness in a new light, not as warmth that demands attention, but as strength that sustains in silence. It is the kindness of a man who walks alone yet leaves an undeniable mark. Stay curious, be unseen, be unfazed, be unforgettable, phased, be... The most dangerous man isn't the one with the loudest voice or the biggest following. It's the one who dares to walk alone, who finds God not in the noise of crowds, but in the sacred silence of his own soul. This man is the Sigma male. He doesn't live for the spotlight, nor does he seek validation from a world he sees as shallow and often misguided. He's not rebelling for the sake of rebellion. He simply doesn't belong to the herd. But when that independence intersects with a spiritual awakening, the result is something truly rare. A man who is not only detached from societal illusion, but also deeply connected to the eternal. This is not about adopting a religion or subscribing to dogma. It's about experiencing the divine from within through intuition, inner knowing, and a powerful sense of presence. Neurologically, meditation and solitude are proven to enhance brain plasticity, sharpen focus, and reduce cortisol levels. But beyond the biology, something metaphysical occurs too. The Sigma male begins to operate from a space of stillness and clarity that most never reach. He doesn't manipulate reality, he moves in harmony with it. While others are reactive, he's proactive. While others are driven by fear, he's anchored in purpose. In spiritual traditions from ancient Stoicism to Eastern mysticism, the enlightened man is always the one who seeks silence, not applause. The Sigma's detachment is not weakness, it's the foundation for his power. And once he begins tapping into higher awareness, what some might call God, source, or divine intelligence, he becomes a force that can't be swayed by trends or temptations. He sees through the matrix, not with conspiracy, but with clarity. He realizes that peace isn't found out there, it's created within, and once you find that, no one can take it from you. So this isn't a fantasy, this is a deep inner transformation rooted in fact in philosophy and in lived experience. Because when a Sigma male unlocks his spiritual powers, he doesn't just elevate himself, he shifts the entire atmosphere around him. Welcome to the realm of the unseen, welcome to the awakening. Number one, he detaches from ego, not confidence. Confidence says, I can. Ego says, I must. It's a subtle but powerful distinction that separates authentic self-belief from the fragile need to prove oneself. When a Sigma male begins to walk the spiritual path, this difference becomes even more pronounced. A true Sigma doesn't operate from ego. He doesn't perform for applause or seek validation from the crowd. Instead, he embodies quiet confidence, rooted in awareness rather than arrogance. The ego thrives on comparison, competition, and constant noise. It whispers that success must be flaunted and strength must be shown. But the spiritual Sigma sees through this illusion. He realizes that the ego is not his identity, but merely a mask, one that craves control and fears vulnerability. As he becomes more conscious, the need to prove himself begins to dissolve. He stops reacting to criticism, stops chasing recognition, and stops engaging in battles that serve no higher purpose. In spiritual growth, there's a concept known as ego death, a moment when the false self falls away, revealing the deeper, timeless being underneath. For the Sigma, this process doesn't strip him of power, it reveals his truest strength. His silence becomes a fortress, his detachment becomes focus. And his stillness is not emptiness, but presence, charged with awareness, purpose, and inner fire. Psychologically, this state aligns with what Carl Jung called individuation, the integration of the unconscious self, leading to wholeness. The Sigma doesn't dominate others to feel powerful, he masters himself. In a world obsessed with appearances, his lack of pretense is radical. He becomes the observer rather than the reactor, grounded in truth rather than image. And this non-reactive awareness becomes his shield. It allows him to remain calm under pressure, patient through chaos, and wise amid manipulation. Spiritual confidence is not loud, it's quiet and unwavering. The Sigma doesn't say, look at me. He simply is, and that is enough. Number two, he sees patterns in people and energy. He's not just reading body language anymore, he's reading energy fields. What used to be subtle cues, like a raised eyebrow or crossed arms, have now evolved into something deeper and more instinctive. Imagine entering a room and feeling a shift in the atmosphere without a word being spoken. He senses that. This isn't some mystical power pulled from thin air, it's actually grounded in neuroscience and psychology. The human brain, particularly the amygdala and prefrontal cortex,
processes micro-expressions and emotional cues faster than conscious thought can catch up. Over time, especially through solitude, reflection, and observation, the mind becomes more attuned to these patterns. For him, conversations now feel like chessboards, not because he's trying to manipulate anyone, but because he's already several moves ahead. He's mapped out the possible motivations, underlying emotions, and hidden intentions before a word leaves the other person's lips. People begin to reveal themselves not just in what they say, but in how they shift their weight, the pauses between their words, and the flicker of discomfort in their eyes. It's not paranoia. Paranoia is rooted in fear and irrational suspicion. What he's doing is pattern recognition, refined over years of silence, heartbreaks, betrayal, and time spent watching the world rather than jumping into its chaos. This level of awareness isn't just mental, it's energetic. Research shows that the human body emits measurable electromagnetic fields, and sensitive individuals can pick up on shifts in that field. So when he reads energy, he's really interpreting the unspoken emotional frequencies, nervous tension, and subconscious tells. He's not being cynical, he's being calibrated. Stillness became his greatest teacher, and through that stillness, his intuition sharpened. Now, he doesn't just hear what people say, he feels what they're trying to hide. He doesn't react, he reads, calculates, and chooses whether or not to engage. This is emotional intelligence on another level, fueled by solitude, forged in trials, and activated by a deep alignment with his inner self. Number 3, his discipline becomes sacred. Before, it was just willpower. Now, it's purpose. This transformation marks the awakening of a deeper consciousness, a shift from merely surviving to intentionally living. In the past, he would fast just to prove he could resist food, a raw demonstration of grit. But now fasting becomes a sacred discipline, not to punish the body, but to master desire. It's a quiet rebellion against the culture of indulgence. Science even backs this up. Fasting has been shown to improve mental clarity, enhance focus, and reduce inflammation in the body. But for him, the real reward isn't physical, it's spiritual. He learns that desire is not the enemy, but the teacher. He observes it, studies it, and ultimately rules it. Rising early isn't about checking off another box on a productivity list or worshipping the grind. It's about reclaiming the stillness of dawn. He wakes before the world does, not to hustle, but to listen, to the silence, to the breath, to the quiet whisper of divine guidance. According to research, early risers often report higher levels of satisfaction and self-discipline. But again, that's just a side effect. For him, it's about tuning into a frequency the noise of the day drowns out. Routine evolves into ritual, not in a robotic sense, but as a ceremony of intention. Every act, no matter how small, pouring water, opening a window, tying shoes, becomes deliberate, infused with awareness. Studies in psychology show that rituals, even simple ones, can reduce anxiety and boost performance. But more than that, rituals anchor the soul. They remind him that life isn't a blur to be rushed through. It's sacred ground to be walked with reverence. So now every step, every breath, every choice is purposeful. He's no longer running on empty motivation or shallow trends. He's aligned with a deeper rhythm, a calling. This is more than discipline, it's devotion. More than mindset, it's transformation. When willpower fades, purpose endures. This is how a man becomes unshakable, not through external force, but internal alignment. He no longer acts to prove, he acts to become. Number 4, he feels time differently. Most people are stuck in a mental prison, replaying past mistakes or fantasizing about futures that never arrive. They live in a haze of what-ifs and someday, rarely grounded in the power of now. But the spiritual Sigma is wired differently. He doesn't live in regret, nor does he chase illusions. He exists in deep presence, a state that most can only touch for fleeting moments. While others let time manage them, he masters time by mastering his focus. This isn't mystical fluff. Neuroscience confirms that our perception of time changes based on attention. When you're fully immersed, what psychologists call a flow state, time either expands or contracts. The Sigma lives in this zone naturally. One focused hour of his effort can produce results that take others weeks to accomplish, simply because he's undistracted, intentional, and aligned. He doesn't fear aging or death because he's not spending his life running away from it. Unlike the masses who are terrified by the ticking clock, He understands that every second is a chance to walk in purpose. He's not interested in accumulating time. He's interested in filling it with meaning. To him, legacy isn't about how long he lives, but how deeply he lives. And that's what bends reality. This kind of presence shifts everything. Conversations become richer, work becomes sacred. Relationships are no longer about filling a void, but about sharing abundance. He is calm in chaos because he isn't chasing the external world. He's rooted within. Studies have shown that mindfulness, which the Sigma embodies naturally, can lower stress, enhance memory, and even slow biological aging. So while society rushes ahead, constantly distracted, the Sigma male walks slowly but with precision. And in that slowness, he gets more done, feels more alive, and connects more deeply. Because when you stop trying to beat time and start being fully in it, you don't just live longer, you live fuller. Number 5, he learns to listen to the invisible. He trusts the silence between thoughts, the pause before action, the gut feeling that makes no logical sense but always turns out right. This isn't mysticism, it's high-functioning perception, and the truth is most men are simply too noisy inside to hear it. In a world addicted to distraction, noise has become the default setting. Constant input, endless scrolling, voices, opinions, and algorithms, all vying for control over the mind. But a Sigma male is different. He doesn't run from silence, he runs toward it. Neuroscience shows that the human brain, when quiet, is still highly active in what's called the default mode network, a space where introspection, deep processing, and creative insight occur. This is where the Sigma lives. The silence between thoughts is not empty for him. It's a portal to something deeper, an intuitive intelligence that bypasses the surface chatter and locks directly onto truth. That gut feeling people talk about, it's not magic, it's the brain's subconscious processing of thousands of micro-signals that logic hasn't caught up with yet. And while others second-guess or overanalyze, the Sigma moves, not rashly, but precisely. It's the pause before action where his power lies, that brief moment of stillness when he consults an internal compass that no one else can read. History is full of silent strategists like this: Marcus Aurelius, Miyamoto Musashi, and Nikola Tesla, men who understood that clarity isn't found in the noise, but in the quiet spaces most people avoid. The Sigma's detachment from emotional chaos allows him to pick up on the subtle, the hidden, and the patterns no one else sees. While the world looks outward for answers, he looks inward, and he's rarely wrong. It's not arrogance, it's attunement. His silence is not emptiness, it's bandwidth. His pause is not hesitation, it's calibration. And that gut feeling, that centuries of instinct honed by solitude, sharpened by experience, and executed without the need for applause. In the end, most men react. The Sigma male responds. And the difference between the two isn't just noticeable, it's undeniable. Number 6, he stops needing to win. The spiritual Sigma male has transcended the need to chase outcomes for validation. Unlike the average man who is driven by results, status, or applause, the Sigma has outgrown that addiction. He understands that attachment to outcomes breeds anxiety, ego, and illusion. His focus isn't on whether he wins or loses, but on whether he stayed true to himself in the process. This mindset is rooted in ancient wisdom and echoed in philosophies from Stoicism to Buddhism. Control what you can, release what you can't. The Sigma only plays games that align with his purpose. He doesn't engage in meaningless competitions or seek approval in empty victories. If something doesn't resonate with his energy, he walks away. No drama, no explanation, no guilt. This isn't apathy, it's energetic discipline. He knows that peace is more valuable than proving a point. When he loses, he doesn't internalize it. His self-worth isn't wounded because it never hinged on the scoreboard to begin with. He's learned that failure is just a teacher wearing a different costume. His identity isn't built on titles, trophies, or opinions. It's built on alignment, on whether his choices match his soul's path. He listens deeply to that inner compass. If it says no, he obeys, even when the world screams yes. That's what makes him so rare. In a society obsessed with hustle, noise, and validation, the spiritual Sigma moves in silence and substance. He's not easily swayed by outcomes because he lives for something deeper, authenticity. He doesn't chase, he attracts. He doesn't force, he flows. He doesn't need to dominate the game because he understands the game is an illusion unless it aligns with his higher self. In this space of detachment, he becomes untouchable, not because he's cold or arrogant, but because he has mastered what so many never will, the art of letting go. He doesn't fear walking alone because solitude brings him closer to source, and in that connection he finds everything: peace, power, and clarity. The spiritual Sigma's superpower is this: he's already won by simply being in tune with who he really is. Number 7, he attracts without trying. When a man is fully present, he radiates a rare energy that speaks louder than words ever could. He doesn't need to posture or boast. His calm demeanor is rooted in something deeper than ego. It's not that he's trying to impress anyone. In fact, he often doesn't care whether anyone notices him or not. But paradoxically, this very indifference becomes a powerful magnet. This is not the flashy charm of charisma. It's something more grounded, more ancient. It's energetic gravity. When a man operates from a place of stillness and self-awareness, his presence alone shifts the energy in a room. He listens more than he speaks. He sees without judgment. He moves with intention. And this quiet confidence unsettles people because it's not common. In a society obsessed with constant validation, performance, and noise, the Sigma male stands apart. He is a vortex of authenticity in a world that's addicted to masks. Women are naturally drawn to it, not because he's trying to attract them, but because his authenticity awakens something deep in their subconscious, something ancient and biological. He feels safe, grounded, and yet mysterious. On the other hand, many men become confused or even threatened by this energy because it challenges the unspoken rules of masculine identity built around dominance, competition, and external achievement. But no matter how people react, whether with desire, confusion, or envy, one thing is consistent: they can't ignore him. Psychologists and energy theorists often speak of presence as a real phenomenon, measurable in brainwave coherence and heart rate variability. When someone is in deep alignment with themselves, their body emits a frequency of calm authority, often referred to as heart coherence or harmonic resonance. This is why monks, warriors, and sages throughout history have all been described as having a certain aura about them. That aura isn't mystical fluff. It's biology aligning with spiritual maturity. The Sigma male, in his quiet glow, embodies this principle. He doesn't chase validation because he has already validated himself. He doesn't seek control because he has mastered self-control. And this inner alignment makes him unforgettable. Not because he forces his way into people's attention, but because his very being reminds others of what they've lost: their own authenticity. Number 8, he becomes the mirror. Once spiritually awakened, the Sigma male undergoes a powerful internal transformation, one that elevates him from a man of action to a man of presence. He no longer reacts impulsively to chaos or conflict. Instead, he reflects. In this reflective state, he becomes an immovable force, calm and grounded like a mountain amid a storm. This unshakable demeanor unnerves manipulators who thrive on emotional reactivity. Their tactics fall flat because the Sigma doesn't bite the bait. He sees through their games with piercing clarity, and his silence becomes louder than any argument. The insecure, too, find his stillness agitating. Why? Because it mirrors back their own unrest. They expect others to match their frequency of drama or neediness. But the Sigma doesn't. He operates on a different wavelength altogether. To the evolved, however, this frequency is magnetic. They recognize the depth in his stillness, the wisdom in his words, and the power in his restraint. Scientifically, this shift in presence can even be observed. Research in neuroscience has shown that emotionally regulated individuals exhibit stronger activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for rational thought and self-awareness. The spiritually awakened Sigma lives from this space. His presence changes rooms, shifts conversations, and exposes truths without uttering a word. He's not merely a man anymore.